Man, I am sitting here today. Dave, I know you're an incredible songwriter. And anybody that knows Dusty Wells, they'll say I'm an encourager, but they know that I love heart music and I love lyrics. And I got to travel and work with a lot of great songwriters. But Dave Clark is one of the greatest songwriters. But we're sitting with this just blows my mind. Two of the greatest writers in Christian music I get to sit here with today. And that's
Kenna Turner.
Dave waiting. Clark.
It begins.
No, here we go. Oh, get ready, Kenna. This is Kenna Turner West, who really is one of the greatest lyricists and writers and just a good person. And we tease her all the time about so much, but I love her heart and I love Dave's heart. And so just to sit here knowing all the songs that the two of you wrote, and I don't write, but I get to sit here tonight and listen to you both.
Well, with that kind of setup, it feels like Kenna that he's expecting something really deep and heavy. And probably should have called two other writers.
Right.
We are thrilled to have you here.
Yes.
It's
We've
good to
talked
be here.
about this for a while,
Yes.
and I said, you know what? Let's just be intentional about it rather than just wait for it to work out. And we could not be more excited to have you here. I love to hear writers talk about what they do, and I was trying to think, knowing this was coming today, it's been 50 years ago.
You know, I was thinking about these things too as I drove around town. And when were you with the Spears when Mike played guitar? I think I was like 10, which is 50 years.
Yes.
No. Okay. When I hear
50.
these numbers, because I know I'm old, and I'm a few months older than Dave.
2 weeks.
But when I hear these numbers, 50 years.
That's something.
In one of the last ones, I mean, I've been friends with Mark Lowry for 40 some odd years.
Yes.
You and I have known each other
Yes.
at least 30, maybe a
And
few
we've
more.
spoken about 3 of those.
Exactly right.
And here's
when I
the-
hear 50 years from you two,
It's a long time.
it's a long time.
Well, to be fair, I was 10 and you were probably a teenager.
He was 32.
There you go.
Hey,
You're not
to be
nice.
fair, that's not a good way to start an interview.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I've known Sue Smith since 1983. So I've known Sue, who's one of my best friends.
Yeah,
I call her
yeah.
one of my pallbearers.
Well,
I've already picked them.
I love that you do that because Doris is one of your
Yes.
pallbearers.
Doris is one of our mutually shared best friends.
Yes.
Dave knows Doris.
She's
really well.
Love her.
She's one of Dusty's favorite people, but then everybody is. So.
That's true. Everybody's your best
I
friend,
keep
Dusty.
telling y'all I have a few non-favorites. I promise you, I
Do
really
you remember where we met?
I don't remember where we met, but I remember being at a concert with the Spears. It was like my first time remembering you, I think. It was Halloween, and it was maybe in Arkansas somewhere, and it was a concert, like a multi-artist concert, but where I know that I knew you was at the Stamps Blackwood School of Music.
Yes, that was a season of your life. I wasn't sure if you'd remember that or not.
Yeah, I was working on my testimony.
Yes, you were.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what we say at my house.
She was working on her testimony, and
I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I was pretty shy, but we went to the Stamp School in Murray, and I was so enamored with all of just being around the singers, and they would just kind of walk through the lobby, and then the other cool thing was getting to meet their kids, and actually, Barbara Blackwood was there, and Don Butler's daughters, and Little D, who's not so little anymore, Brian Spear and Darren Spear, and
I tell you where that also is fun for me is to see things through my dad's eyes. My dad, if people don't know who my father is, his name is Ken Turner. He sang bass for many years with the Blackwoods.
I told you my Ken Turner story.
Yes. Okay, so Dad's 90. So I just talked to him in the parking lot just now while I was getting me a sweet tea. But Dad, used to teach a bunch of different people when they were kids, or he knew a lot of young artists coming through the school as teenagers. To this day, he calls Ivan Parker that Parker boy, or the Parker boy. Have you talked to the Parker boy?
Wow.
I'm like, you mean
So
Ivan?
funny.
I mean, I'm 60, so Ivan's maybe 65. The Parker boy. But if you're 90 and Ivan was 15, he's the Parker boy.
Your dad is 90?
90 years old.
Wow.
And he still sings great.
Yeah.
So, Dusty, I don't know how much you ever got to hear Ken if you were around back in that day.
I'll tell this real quickly. when I got saved,
You couldn't listen to him anymore.
No, the Christian couple who led me to the Lord turned me on the Rambos, Landing Wolf Trio, and I'm not that old, but I do remember it was either the first or second concert. I have two artists. One was the second chapter of Acts.
Love.
And the others was the Blackwood Brothers with Kenna Turner that we went to College of Southern Idaho. And I saw either the Blackwood Brothers or second chapter of Acts.
It's one or the other.
Concert.
That's so
and I
sweet.
remember I remember Kenna Turner talking to me at the record table. I remember buying a Blackwood Brothers record.
That's why he talked to you.
That's probably why. He probably said, "How much do you have?" No. But I remember he was so nice and so
That's
kind.
sweet.
And the first time I met Kenna, which has been probably 30 years ago,
Something like that, maybe.
I remember me telling, that's Kenna Turner's daughter. And so I do have a little bit of a knowledge of him. Not a lot, but I did get to meet him.
So before we get into your story, we're going to go there, but it's still amazing, the lineage you have on both sides of your family, and your dad. It's hard for me to process that he's 90 years old. He was the guy with the Blackwood Brothers, and one of the first records back then, it was an 8-track. I shouldn't say that, but
We all had them.
We all had them, yeah.
One of the first things that I ever bought with my own money from an audio thing, I bought a Chuckwagon Gang LP. I bought a Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison Blues LP, and I bought Kenna Turner's Here Comes the Volkswagen.
Oh my word.
Okay, that is.
Now, do you remember that record?
I do remember it. I've probably never listened to it, but I've heard about it. I heard people talk about it.
Okay, do you still have a copy of that?
I do. I don't listen to it, but I have
That
it.
is too funny.
Dad was my show and tell at school for many, many years. If people don't know, Dad would he called them imitations. He would mimic sounds of like instruments or like just silly things or other singers. And the Lord allowed him to build a sweet little career out of that and a bit of a comedy thing in the Blackwood concert. And
Yeah, I remember that.
my daddy would. Daddy was cool until I became a teenager, and then Daddy's a bass singer, and he liked to hear his voice, like in the mall, and it would just echo, and he'd go, "We own Dad," and my sister and I would just dive into whatever store, to get away from it. So when I was a kid, it was great, and then it wasn't, and now it's great again.
Yeah, well, that's the fact that you still have him at 90 years old is a blessing.
Yeah.
So on Here Comes the Volkswagen, if I remember this right, now it's been a few years since I've been able to play an 8-track. But he sang some songs, but then he did Gomer Pyle.
Yes.
Yep.
He
Mr.
did Mr.
Magoo.
Magoo. He did,
JD.
well,
Oh.
okay,
Tennessee Ernie Ford.
yes,
Yeah.
but he sang Peace in the Valley.
Yes, and he
And
did a
did Red
little
Foley
piece of each of their vocal in his little. It was like a
that's-
medley, and he would
okay.
say kind of what it was, and he would sing it.
So he messed with me for a long time because he said something on there that I thought was serious.
Okay. Oh, I know.
And it was about JD.
Yeah.
And he did this little medley, and he did 4 different voices, like one line or two at a time. And then he ended it with, what'd he say?
I'm going to sing like my grandfather, J.D. Sumner.
Well, I'm a fan. I'm a
And
kid.
so you thought it was his grandfather.
I'm trying to
They are
parse that.
10 years apart,
Okay.
But people don't know. They
That's
just,
so
they don't
funny.
know.
But he didn't laugh or anything. And
That's
back
funny.
then, if we'd have had video,
Yeah.
he always had a twinkle in his
Yeah,
eye that he
yeah,
was right on the
yeah.
edge of saying something funny, even if he didn't. And so he was this low bass singer, and he'd break into this high Gomer Pyle talking, and then he'd do a trumpet and do I remember right, a harmonica
like a
and
trombone.
a trombone.
Yeah, all that.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
And he started that. Was he with Dixie Echoes?
Yeah, he might have started that with the Palmetto State, but I know he did it with the Dixie Echoes.
So he started that with them, and then when he went, now I'm a kid back then, so tell me what I got wrong on this, but he was this tall, lanky, looked like you in a suit.
Looked like me with a mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only
6'6".
he didn't have the mustache with
No,
Dixie
he didn't. No.
Echoes.
He was 6'6" and maybe in his 150s in the Army. So he was tall and just bones. And in the
remember
Army,
that's-
they called him lanky.
Yeah.
And that sort of carried till he was maybe in those 40s when he kind of thickened out like a little bit and stopped,
Yeah.
and not just being bones.
But did he grow the mustache when he joined the Blackwood Brothers?
He joined, yeah. When he first was with the Blackwoods, the first record, it was an album called Love, and Tony Brown,
Yes.
who used to be with the Stamps
Little
and
Tarzan.
produced like everybody in Nashville. Reba, yes.
Trisha Yearwood.
He just
That-
won the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
That
Yep,
record
yep.
won that was Daddy's first Grammy. He has 7 of their 9. And
Think
there's like
about
3
that.
at my house. He just, every time we go over, he's like, well, do you want to take this home?
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
he just sends it home with like a pie. But he's just adorable. But that record, what in the world was I telling you? So that was the first record, and he did not have the mustache. But, you know, this was in the 70s, and this was in the era of Marty Robbins.
Yep.
So Dad got a little turtleneck and a blazer with the, houndstooth with
Yep.
patches on
Yep.
and a mustache. And he was cute as a bug. I
I
think that was
remember
his
I
cute.
remember him having a mustache. That's how I always remember him.
Did you? Oh, I thought you were saying you did.
No,
that would
no.
be crazy.
That would be
That'd be
Nacho
weird.
Libre.
Yeah,
And Dusty, his next project's going to grow hair.
Maybe.
so
You never know.
hateful. Speaking of, I apologize for the baseball cap, but I got up this morning early, and then I had a co-write, and I love y'all, but I ain't putting on for you.
Well, yeah, make them
Oh.
on.
Just a little.
It sounds like she's
Just a
making
little.
excuses already.
She is.
No,
she is.
typically I don't even wear makeup. Y'all know this to be true. I look like I just changed my oil. But you know, if you're sitting in a small writer's room around town, it's not like I'm not gonna get up early to put on makeup to sit in a little bitty room. I'm just not.
Boy, I clean up as much as I can because I
We're
want to
grateful.
distract them from my lack of ability.
Well, you mentioned her dad. You got to mention also the other part of royalty that
Well,
she had.
I
Okay,
want
okay,
to peel
all right.
back a little bit further.
This
on
is
her dad.
fun. This is
I
fun.
love this.
I do
And
too.
yes, like I said, we'll get to your story, but so Blackwoods, the group that was, probably the most visual one that I remember was Cecil, Pat Hoffmeister,
Yep.
Yeah.
Jimmy,
Mm-hmm.
and Ken.
And Dad. Yeah.
And
That's my favorite. I'm just gonna say
it's
I
a
love
great-
Pat.
Yep.
Yeah.
and he did that. I mean, it was funny, but he would break into the.
Yep.
Not just the sound of a trombone, but you
Yeah,
felt
he
like,
would do it. He would just commit. He would do it, and
Yeah.
it was a
So
lot of fun.
did he do that stuff at home?
Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
I'm
And
sorry.
And he would play the guitar on the steering wheel and do all. And my mom, God love her, would just like, you've got to stop. You need to stop that because it wasn't really cute at the house.
That was what I wondered.
Yeah,
if
because
you-
like I think you're funny, but Cindy at home might not think you're that funny. I don't know. We should ask her.
I don't think
Your
I'm
wife
that funny.
is sitting just over here.
No, I'm not that funny. I promise. So when he's doing that, and then, but back in that day, the groups were on the road like
Yeah.
25 out of 30 days a month
Yeah.
usually, and so it's probably not that funny to come home with the road humor when you're not home that much to begin with. But he there was something else I always wondered about, and again, I'm just a kid who
Alright.
loved the music, but there was. He and JD would kid each other a lot. But I remember JD saying one time, because your dad would go high and then
Yes.
he'd go. So there was a bit of a thing about who was the lowest bass singer in the world. Do you remember any of that? Or was that before your time?
I think, well, I mean, I've always heard it. Like, I know that Dad can sing off the piano, and now, if you go and look on YouTube, it'll have these little clips of bass singers singing, and these are like viral things, and it'll have Dad. Dad had a curly perm for a while, and it was not that. It was curly. It was curly little perm, and he had a mint green jacket on. I don't know what he was thinking, but he's singing on this video, and they have little clips of him, and Dad makes faces when he sings to be funny. So he's singing "There's a Rainbow of Love," and it shows all these people. It's a montage of many singers that can sing to that capacity. Like Dad can drop an octave or two in a chest voice, and really just really a great singer. But him and JD, they always had fun about it, and they were really great friends. And there was a group of bass singing fellas that all played golf together.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
they called Ray Reese Ray Dean back then.
Yeah.
But it's Herman Harper and Ray Dean Reese and Ed O'Neill and Dad and JD, Armand Morales,
Yep.
all these bass singers.
Wow.
And they were all, dear friends, and they all played golf together and had a great time. It's just it's one family, if you will.
Yeah.
Everybody wants, they're set in a concert to do well. They want people to enjoy it. But these are people who loved each other and supported each other. And so Dad and JD, they sang differently, and they both sang great.
But your dad did a pretty spot-on impression of JD.
Yes.
And
Because he was Dad's
Rainbow
hero.
of Love seemed to be the song that was the bass singer's song back then. That was the anthem. Because it let them slide, and they could stop the tempo and go down.
Yes, and given that moment to do it.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something cool about JD while we're talking about it? When my dad was a little boy, they were a very poor family of sharecroppers in South Carolina. And Daddy said he didn't have money for a little car, so he had a little block, and he would just kind of say vroom, vroom, and play in the dirt. And they would listen to the radio, and it was the Arthur Godfrey talent show when the Blackwoods won.
Wow.
And Dad was laying there on the floor. He might have been 8. And he said, I want to sing with him one day.
Wow.
And y'all, if it isn't true that James Blackwood doesn't call him in 1971 and offer him his dream job.
Yeah.
He was like a little 8-year-old boy laying in the floor, listening on the radio, going,
Wow.
I want to sing with him one day. It's pretty beautiful.
That is very cool.
But he had that look that was, London Parish, remember that name?
Yes.
JD, Ed O'Neill.
Yep.
They all had that tall,
class.
had to be really tall and skinny and sing really low.
That's it.
Yep.
They all had that same look.
They did.
JD said one time, there's a clip of it somewhere, I think, online, and somebody said, hey, Ken Turner says he's the lowest bass. Have you seen this? Ken Turner says he's the lowest bass singer in the world. JD kind of, and you knew there was a friendship, but there was still that little bit of a no. And JD goes, he's pretty good, but he ain't that good. And he said, there's one thing to make noises that low, but I can say the words that low. And he went into this big explanation, and then he just kind of grinned, and you go, okay, I don't know if he's just...
Yeah, I don't know. I know that it was always a fun kind of thing, and it was just the little thing that goes on all the time. It's kind of sweet.
And Blackwoods and JD, all that circle, there weren't that many groups back in that day.
Yeah, it's true.
So when I meet you, you're one of those singers' kids, and Harold Lane's daughter was there at the school that year, and there was an energy for a kid like me that was just a fan, and we didn't probably never talked, but so years later, let's back up. I want to do what Dusty was headed for. So you got this lineage on this side of Ken Turner, and anybody who followed Southern Gospel absolutely knew him.
There you go. And Dad's in the Dad's in the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. I should point that out because I know where we're going next. On my side of the family, Dad, I think it was maybe 1998 that they went into the Hall of Fame. I forget, something like that. So Dad's in the Gospel Music Hall of Fame forever.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now I know where you're going.
Now,
go ahead.
I love it. Well, when we moved to Nashville, now I had heard of Dottie West. I had heard of her.
Right.
Kenny Rogers. I want to say Gatlin Brothers. I think
She
Steve
brought Larry
Warner,
to town.
Steve
She
Warner,
brought Steve to town.
So I had heard of her, and Dottie Rambo loved her. And Dottie Rambo had her on her show on TBN. I don't know if you knew this.
I didn't
Dottie
know.
Rambo magazine. She went to Dottie's house. Dottie went to Dottie West's house and filmed. She had this TV show, Barbara Mandrell, Dottie West. I saw one the other night where she was with Governor Jimmy Davis. It was back in the 80s. And I remember when we moved to Nashville, Dottie said, we're going to go visit Dottie West. And I said, really? This is a country star. And we went over and visited her. I want to say it was at Wessex Towers.
Okay.
Because Dottie was going to move in there also at that time. Dottie Rambo was. And I remember Dottie, your mother-in-law, I met her one time. And I remember she was watching Dottie Rambo and Dottie West together was one of the coolest things.
That must have been just before she passed away.
It was, because Dottie got real sick. Dottie Rambo. And Dottie West came to the hospital to see her.
Wow.
Yeah, down at St. Joe and
St. Thomas.
And it was one of the coolest
Wow.
things. And then the accident and everything for Dottie West. So.
And they both shared the unfortunate legacy of unfortunate accidents.
But it was so cool to watch this country legend and this gospel legend and just their love for their families, the music. And it was really
so you've
cool.
got that heritage.
Yeah.
Now, did you and Carrie have been married?
33 years.
So did you ever get to meet Dottie
I
West?
did. I met her one time.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's right.
Yeah. She passed away
Yeah.
the year before. I knew Kerry from church. He was that nice guy from church, and his clothes didn't really match, but he was real sweet. And you know what I mean? Like, he needed granimals. God love him. And but he was so sweet.
Okay.
He was so sweet.
That's funny.
And all my friends that I went to and go to church with, they will all attest to this. But I was at a concert. It was a multi-artist country thing that we were at. Somehow my dad got us tickets. I forget who was opening, but Dottie and Kenny did their thing. So Dottie sang, Kenny sang. There was a few celebrities, I won't say who, a few celebrities sitting in front of us. That was pretty exciting. And I had a Kenny Rogers tour book that I had bought in the lobby. And I saw Dottie. We were backstage, and you're just kind of in the big hall waiting to go up the little ramp to the stage. And I saw her, and she had on, if you can imagine her, she would have that cool Bob Mackie outfit that we all kind of know off the shoulder in various colors. And she had a mum yellow one with little white flowers on it. I still remember what she had on. I was 13. And I saw her, and I'm like, it's Dottie West. That's Dottie West.
Wow.
And I had that album with her and Kenny that had Every Time Two Fools Collide and all that.
What a song.
And if we got our chores done, we could listen to a record. It was great motivation, and that's the record I would want to play. And so I walked up to her, and I could not speak because she
was a star.
Yes.
Yep.
She had the it, and she was shiny and beautiful, and I could not speak. And this is what I did, hand to heaven. I had my pen, I had the book, and I said, and she said, I'd be happy to.
Wow.
I couldn't even say, can I have your autograph? I couldn't even say it. So I have that program, that book still.
I love
And
that.
all these little celebrities that were sitting around where we were sitting too. That was kind of fun. And so when Carrie and I got married, I showed him that. Like, it was kind of sweet because
she had not only the great voice, but she had the hair.
And the personality. But see, I remember her from I was raised on country song, the Coca-Cola song.
Yeah.
See, that's where I came in and thought, who is this lady?
Do I remember right that maybe she was the first country singer female to win a Grammy?
The first woman in country music ever. Yeah, and it was for
I
a
did
song.
not know.
That would have been 60 years ago this year?
1964.
Oh my gosh.
So it's
I thought it was 5.
I think it was 64 because it was the year I was born, and I always kind of.
Would you argue with me about
Yes,
that?
I would. On this, I would. On this, I would.
Did she win a Grammy for that song? Or was it another song?
Well, and here's the thing. It might have been for the body of work the year before. So everybody's a winner.
Yeah.
This is Upward
But
Basketball.
that was a big deal.
But it was for a song called Here Comes My Baby.
I know the song.
And she wrote it with my father-in-law, Bill, who passed away a number of years ago. And then I came in about Country Sunshine in the 70s.
Yep,
and,
that's what I remember. Yeah,
the
And she
Coca-Cola
didn't get
song.
a lot of credit for writing, but didn't she write a Jim Reeves song that went to number 3?
Oh, now I don't know.
He knows
That-
it. I know.
I think he just came in with that so he could play that
That's-
card.
he
No,
did.
He's like,
no.
watch this, I'm going to come in with
I
a fact.
was a
No,
huge country
I
music
don't know.
fan
Yeah.
back
I'm
in
not
that
sure.
day.
Yeah.
I know she wrote a lot, and she wrote a lot for herself and for others. I just don't know what they are.
And somewhere I read years ago, again, if I remember right, that Patsy Cline was a mentor of hers and gave her some career advice.
Her and Patsy were kind of best friends.
That's what I always heard.
As a matter of fact, right before Dottie and Bill were supposed to be on the plane
That's right.
the night
That's
that Patsy
right.
was on the
That's
plane.
right. Yep.
And if I have it right, Patsy had a sense that something was up, and if I understand right, she gave Dottie maybe her diary or something. I'm not exactly sure, because again, this is outside of my knowledge. But I think I've just heard these things said with the family around the table. But super best friends, and it was a very hard loss for Dottie.
That's what I remember hearing.
And there's again, all I know is what I heard on the news.
Same.
But there was when the weekend that she was killed in a car wreck.
Her car. She was going to the Opry.
Yep.
Her car broke down. Someone gave her a ride,
Yep.
and the exit. I
Goes
think
into
if I
Opry Mills, the
if
first
I
one.
understand right, I don't know if I
There's-
think this is correct.
Yep.
It's to go down one more exit, and I think
Yes.
somebody
Yep.
saw. Oh, it's this exit. Took it a little
Yep.
quick.
And
There's a sign still there.
Yeah, there's a cross.
Yes,
Miss
that's right.
Jeannie Selah,
Yep.
Miss Jeannie championed putting that cross there, and Miss Jeannie championed getting Dottie in the Hall of Fame.
So great.
It was Jeannie Selah who
Yeah.
was Dottie's maybe best friend.
Yeah.
Who would constantly she would have a thing called the birthday bash, the Dottie West birthday bash at a place here in Nashville each year. And just her and Ron Harmon, a friend of hers, worked so hard to get Dottie in the Hall of Fame.
Which,
and
well deserved.
that's sweet.
So you've got this legacy on this side,
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
marry Carrie, and were there 4 kids?
Yeah.
Shelley was Carrie's sister, right?
Shelley, people might know her from a song called "You're the Reason God Made
Yep,
Oklahoma."
yep,
Another
yep.
redheaded alto
Yep,
in that
yep,
family.
she
I said to
was.
Carrie, "That's why you married me, because you know redheaded altos. He knows how to fix your hair in the
And he
back and
still
drive the
married
bus." He still did. But he had an older brother. They called him Mo. He designed gear for Fender and stuff, and really cool. He passed away when my son was 16, and my son's about to be 31, so it's been a minute. There's Shelley, and Carrie has a little brother named Dale. Dale's about my age. Dale's a drummer.
So you've got
Musical family.
Wow.
and Carrie worked with Ronnie Millsap
30 years.
30
Yeah,
years.
Yeah.
That's right. I forget about that. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So
Wow.
you've got all of this
A lot of music.
Yeah.
on both sides. So obviously, your son does what?
He teaches like physics and
Yes.
math.
Yeah. Go
He has a
figure.
PhD in smart stuff.
Yeah, real smart stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
But he is an incredible musician too. It's just that's not what he does for a living. He really needs about 3 lives to live to do it all.
Yeah.
But he is a prolific guitar player.
Wow.
That's
And he
great.
kind of takes after his Uncle Mo, I think, and his
That's
daddy.
Great. That's okay.
So the story. I mean, any one of these branches we could spend an hour on.
But I also remember she sang with the Blackwoods.
I was
Yes,
going to
I
ask
Somebody
about
post-
that.
did.
somebody posted the picture
There's
of the
a-
record
there's
the other
hateful.
day. I just
It's so hateful.
and I remembered the record. I may have it, but I just saw somebody posted it the other day. I thought I did forget
So
about that
hateful.
era. I don't know how long you were with them.
Couple
but,
of years.
But I remember there was a record. You're in a really
So there's
wild
a
70s.
Sue Smith that you mentioned earlier. Sue was real close friends with the Blackwoods. Did you guys know each other then?
That's how I knew her.
Okay.
So people know Sue as a big songwriter, but years ago, even before you would know her as a writer, her family,
Yep.
she had a singing family
Yep.
group
Yep.
called One Accord in the St. Louis area. And so they would they were promoters, they would bring in an artist like Spear Family or the Blackwood Brothers, and their family would open the concert. And they were promoters, and so I met Sue doing that.
Okay.
And that's about the time Sue was writing, and that's about the time you opened a door for Sue. Sue is quick to give you credit for pushing that boat off the.
Do you know who produced the One Accord Records?
Well, was that Dave Clark?
It was Dave Clark. Yeah.
Isn't that
And
funny? That's,
there is everybody that listens might not know Sue's daughter Holly, but she's got a little part-time job
You know. Yeah, the president of Providence.
exactly
The
right. One of
president.
the first female presidents
In this town.
In this
Yeah.
town.
I kept a couple extra that still have not been opened, but on one of those records, I have a duet.
So funny.
You and Holly?
No, better. Holly and Ben Spear.
Oh, how special is
Isn't that
that?
great? I
A
know.
song called Just for Me.
I think that is
Oh.
And
so
Holly was
awesome.
all of, she couldn't have been 12 years old.
Well, I say we break that out
I
and
think
listen.
so. We need to do that
I
too.
saved that stuff for a reason.
We need to have Holly on the show. And
Yes, you do, and play
And
it.
there's another real quick story where I don't want to spend a lot of time here, but I had written a song that I thought was a hit, and I couldn't get anybody to cut it, and so it was called "Matter of Mercy."
I love that song.
So you may not know the story of how it ended up where it did, but the last line of the chorus said, "It's only a matter of mercy that I'm back in the family. Well, I didn't think anything of that. So I couldn't get anybody to cut it. So I was producing Sue Smith's group for her family, and I played it for her husband, and he said, if you'll get your theology straight, we'll cut it. And I said, what do you mean?
my.
Nobody ever questioned my theology.
Yeah.
And he said, we're Baptist. We can't sing when I'm back in the family.
Well, I know what the lyric is, so I know what you changed it to.
I changed one word to I'm part of
I'm
the family.
part of the family.
They cut
Wow.
it before their record came out. They opened up for the Blackwood Brothers, and Sue called and said they want to cut this song. It was the first single off the next Blackwood
It
Brothers
was so
record.
good. And my
That's
daddy would go,
so
only a matter of grace. I can hear the song. I
That
love
is
that
so-
song.
And I have a video clip. Back then, there wasn't a lot of video, but I got to play guitar behind the Blackwoods one
cool.
night on PGL when they sang
Wow.
that song.
That's awesome.
Wow. Okay.
That's cool.
I love that.
Song stories.
I know. That's
So,
yeah.
Kenna, back in the day, never heard you say anything about wanting to be a writer.
That wasn't my thing.
And
It wasn't on the radar.
it wasn't on the radar.
I never set out really.
Did you journal? Did you write?
No,
Did you write thoughts? Did you?
I would say, okay, so I came to Christ in '83, and I sang for a number of years, and still do.
Which Kenna is an incredible singer.
You
She
have
re-
to
I
say
mean,
that. Thank
no,
you. I'm sitting
no,
right here.
you
I
Thank
read
you.
that in her bio.
But you are, and I remember I was shocked when she is.
Yes, you
That's
don't see
sweet.
that.
You
coming.
don't. You don't see that. But I remember the first time I heard you, I thought, oh my gosh,
That's so sweet.
she's a great singer.
That's
yeah.
very kind. Well, I enjoy it, and so I wrote. You kind of you take a psalm and you set it to music, or I would write just goofy songs, and they rhymed and they had a melody, but you do not want to hear them. They are nothing to speak of, and so I wrote a little, but it wasn't like I want to be a songwriter. It was just part of how you express a thought or a
Yeah,
prayer
yeah,
or.
yeah.
But there was an inherent awareness of great songs,
Well, I would say
whether you realized it or not.
I have so many songs that have been poured into me in my life as
yeah,
Ken Turner's daughter,
yeah.
and I would say most especially in the '70s, I listened to the Imperials a lot. So all those Phil Johnson songs, oh my goodness,
Give
and
me
Larry
all the-
Gatlin,
Yes.
all of that, and so I had country over here and gospel over here, and it was all going in, and the Carpenters and
Oh.
Chicago. So I love me a '70s kind of song.
songs,
These
great
are still,
songs.
if you listen to the
Yeah,
songs
I
I
totally
write,
agree.
it'll
Karen-
all be in there.
Carole King.
Yes,
James
it's all
Taylor.
going to be in there.
I totally agree.
It's all
Yeah.
part of what I write. And Jimmy Webb, Wichita
Oh,
lineman,
my
that
gosh.
flat seven,
Oh,
if you
my
know
gosh.
music, the flat seven at the top of the chorus,
Yes.
transformative. And I love that
so
song. It's maybe my favorite song ever. And so to this day, if I play a flat seven, I'm like, thank you, Jimmy Webb, for introducing me to this
That's
chord.
yeah.
But I didn't really set out to write. But, and then I had a little boy, our son, Graham, and I was writing little goofy songs as a mother while he was taking a nap, because you got to be quiet, can't wake him up, because he'll wake up cranky, and who wants that? And so you're trying to be quiet, so I'm writing, and they're horrible songs. But there was a day in the late 90s, there was a season, I should say, when my grandmother had dementia. My mother was diagnosed with a tumor inside her skull that they would have to cut a hole in her skull to go get it. And I was just writing about it today in a little project I'm writing. They said they could maybe get it, or she could stroke or be paralyzed or die, And so Granny's failing with dementia, and that's going on. And I didn't really... sometimes when you're super emotional, you don't have words to pray. You know how David would just go, oh God.
Yeah.
So many of his prayers in the Psalms are a lament, and I would just sit in my little gliding rocking chair where I used to rock Graham as a little boy. And I would write my heart out on paper, and it just happened to rhyme. And there was a day, this is a fast version to get me to songwriting. There is a day I looked down in my Bible, in this little rocking chair in my den, and it said, we've all been given a measure of faith. Mm-hmm. And I saw that, and somehow or another, that phrase sort of glowed in my imagination. I call it the divine imagination. There was something about it, and I marked it. And I wrote a song, and I wrote it about my mom. And it says, you say you're at the end of your rope and you're barely holding on, and you don't even have enough to tie a knot and hold on. Where is God? I hear you say. Well, he is never far away, and he has all the answers if you call on his name. And the chorus says, all you need is an ounce of hope. All you need is a measure of faith. It's that scripture. all you need is a glimpse of glory and a taste of grace. And it was in a little song in a notebook under my bed. Okay. So then a little time goes by, and I'm praying because my mom's fixing to have her surgery, and I got no words. And I look down in the book of Mark. It says, and Jesus withdrew to a solitary place. And I see a solitary place, and it sort of glowed in my heart, and I have marked it. And I wrote a song that said, for my mom, where do you go when your strength is gone? Where do you find the courage to keep going on? When you bear the weight of the world, where do you find grace? Alone with God in a solitary place. And it's basically 3 verses, a stanza and a verse, and it goes in a notebook under my bed. Nobody will ever see these things, because my fear was, what if you hear the song, Dusty, and then you say to me, or that's, I'd put the pen down. Because back then we wrote on paper, and I didn't want somebody to say, you got to stop killing trees.
Yeah. That's a real struggle for every writer.
And so there's this, I want the songs to be heard, and I'm afraid of them being heard, because I'm just because of my upbringing, shame is like sometimes the first filter for me. Yeah. And so I'm like, what if I just collapsed under the weight of somebody saying these aren't good, and I would never do it again? And I purposed that I would rather dream about being a songwriter and hide the songs under my bed in the little notebook than to let somebody hear them and then say, the dream is over. So at a Tuesday night at a Bible study, a lady named Debbie turned to me, and she goes, this is a hand of goodness. Pastor Bob's preaching. She turned to me, she goes, you should be singing your own songs. I'm like, how in the world? She doesn't know I write songs. She don't know what I do. So I knew it was the Lord, and it wasn't weird or anything. It was just like, she's like, you should be singing your own songs. So I called her the next day, and her husband has a studio, and I'm like, that's weird you'd say that. And she's like, we got a studio, come over. So our church band came over and played. We did 9 of mine and 1 of my worship pastors. In case mine were not good, I had 1 good song out of the 10. And my friend Doris had that little CD, and I would sing them out in Louisiana or Nebraska, but nobody that I knew could hear those songs. But Doris had that CD, and she worked for a record company called Spring Hill. Yeah. And Phil Johnson, the publisher, walked in. He's also the A&R director, and she was fixing to put it in the machine, and instead she handed it to Phil. And she called me and she said, you're probably going to kill me. I'm like, you're right. You are right. Yeah. And I didn't sleep. I was sick as a dog because I was just thinking the dream is over. And they called me the next day. And that little song, the word measure of faith, that little thing, that song is called A Taste of Grace. It was my first cut ever, 25 years ago this year, by Karen Peck. It was a title cut, A Taste of Grace, and on that record was 4 Days Late.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Isn't that neat?
So, love those stories. And again, everybody that's ever sat down at these tables with Dusty and I has talked about a champion that they had. Yeah. So let's talk about Doris for a minute.
Let's do.
Dusty, can we talk about Doris?
Man,
she's my girl.
She's one of my favorite people.
You may not remember this, but I asked Doris to set up a lunch.
I do remember. It was a little Mexican restaurant.
A little Mexican restaurant right off West End.
I do remember.
And Doris and Kenna sat one side, and I sat on the other side. And I told, let me hear your memory of it.
Okay.
Then I'll tell the right story.
I was exiting a publishing deal, and I was discussing a publishing deal with somebody, and she goes, "Have you done that yet?" I'm like, "No." She goes, "Have a lunch with me. Have a lunch with me and a friend." I go, "Okay." It's a conversation. She didn't say it was you. So we're sitting at the restaurant. She's across from me, and I look, and I'm like, well, my goodness, there's Dave Clark. And she's like, you know Dave? And you walked in. You were the meeting. I'm like, well, my goodness.
That's
so. Did you know this?
I didn't know
I never
it was you.
heard this.
You just came walking up. Here's the window.
I have never heard this.
I'm like, well, they law, as my granny would say. They law. There's Dave Clark.
I never heard that.
So we were starting Canaan back up. And they had asked about building a publishing. And my heart really wasn't in the record business, but I love working with writers. Yeah. And we knew that Coral was going through some changes at Word at that point.
I was there. Yep.
So I thought if I could only bring in 2 writers that could write for Canaan, write for the church, write for Coral. And so one of them was Kenna, and the other was a young kid named
Lee Black.
Lee Black.
I have never heard that story.
That's where I met Lee.
I did not know that.
Lee, I'm driving around the roundabout, and Lee calls and introduces himself to me. Excuse me, as the other Canaan writer. That's how I met him.
I had no idea about
Isn't that something?
I always wondered how that's okay. That's very cool.
And again, it wasn't. I couldn't have named you a lot of your songs, but what I had heard, you've taught enough. You know, when sometimes it's not what they play you; it's the questions they ask.
Yeah.
There's
Cool.
something that
Cool.
you can't keep it in a box. And I've been blessed to watch a lot of journeys through the years, but that was a season when I just knew you and Lee. I had worked with Lee before, and so I knew his stuff. And there was a song that you had written. It was just the right time, and I didn't have anything to do with the deal. I just were like, whoever did the deals, you need to sign these two writers.
That's cool.
Do you remember what you wanted for a signing bonus?
I don't know, but you probably shouldn't say. Maybe you should not say.
Maybe I should.
Maybe you should. No.
I want to hear this.
Maybe you should text me for approval. Don't make me embarrassed.
Well, no.
Oh.
No, it was
probably asked
one of
for a
those things,
car.
and
No,
I've
car.
told
I want to hear this.
I don't.
what Sue Smith wanted when she signed her first deal. She said, because we didn't have a lot of deep pockets,
Yeah.
and Sue lived in St. Louis, and she said, what would really help me is, she said, if I could just get a fax machine.
Bless.
Now think about that. But back in that era,
I bet that was
to have
expensive.
a fax machine, that was a big deal.
I bet it was. Yeah.
I don't know that I want you to say.
I do
I'm
want-
so
I do.
scared.
Was it?
Am I going to be embarrassed?
No.
I am anxious
I'm
to
gonna.
hear this.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
so
already
excited.
sweating. I'm sweating.
Because the thing with
My
Sue,
hands are sweating.
and Sue's not here to say don't tell my story.
Oh, so you're
But
gonna.
the thing with Sue was, it wasn't if she had just said, man, I really need gas money,
Yeah.
even that would have been harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Oh,
we
Yeah.
you know,
they just it was beginning that era where that was all.
and yours
changing.
was the same deal. You had to have
Kenna-
needed money at that point. But
I'm anxious to hear
I'm
this.
so scared.
it was the same kind of deal. It was to make you a better writer. You wanted a Mac laptop.
Well, I didn't get one, so
You did not.
I
But I'm
don't
not-
even remember
that's-
asking.
that's not
I don't
even-
remember asking.
But even
not
that
big.
that was the thing that I remember thinking, gosh, even if I bought it myself, I want her to be able to.
Well, I had an HP with a
it's
keyboard,
to further
so-
their craft. That's that's what
Yes.
I admire so much about what you just said, Sue and her.
I wanted a Jaguar. I never got that.
I know.
Yeah.
I wanted a Cadillac Seville.
You know, it's
and
funny,
I
though.
wanted a new shirt.
You'll appreciate this. So back when I started writing, I wrote on paper. And so all my friends were writing on things that I can't afford all that stuff. So I'm a homeschool mama. I can't afford all that. But I remember the first time I wrote with Tony Wood, and I have a little bit of OCD. So if I wrote a
Really?
chorus, quit.
Really?
I quit. And if we changed the line, I had to rewrite the whole chorus to see it right. And then
Yeah.
if you change the line, I had to rewrite the whole chorus. So I had like 9 pieces of paper going down my arm. And he's like, you should probably get a laptop. I go, that's a good point. So I come in the next time and I brought the one from the house, which was a pretty big laptop with a full keyboard. And it's like sitting there with a sofa. And he's like, you might want to get a smaller one. I'm like, you just need to tell me this stuff the first time. But I remember we wrote something about spilling coffee. I don't know why he ever wrote with me again. And yet he's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
He is my big brother. And even though I had all these pieces of paper down my arm, he still got together in a room and wrote with me again. And I love him.
But Tony's weakness, he's no one to talk about a laptop.
That's a good point.
He's a Post-it note kind of guy.
Yes, he is.
And
Really?
the project I met Tony on, I had an old little PC. No, I had a little Mac laptop. And the screen would keep going black, and you had to squeeze it because it was broken, the frame.
Okay.
And I took more abuse from them about writing on a laptop. So I remember when all those guys kind of came
That's
into
funny.
that.
That's funny.
But I just remember even then thinking it wasn't a money thing, that we all could have used some extra money, but you wanted something that would make you more effective as a writer.
I just needed to be able to not have to write it 12 times, which
Yes.
I still did. And thank goodness now that I can type and just take a word out and put a word in. Thank goodness.
And I was fans of both of you, and just have gotten to watch that journey and watch your confidence as a writer. And I remember even then you wanted to write every day, but you had to book your writing around dropping your son off.
Yeah, yeah. And here is where I would say where the kindness of God shows up in my life. So I wrote with you guys for a while, and then I was at a situation again where I have two options in front of me for the next step of my story as a writer, and talking to two different companies. And my son, for various reasons, could not drive to school, just some visual challenges, and so I came off the road from traveling as a singer so I could drive him to school because he was, he'd been 17 for a minute,
Yeah.
and so I would drop him off. And I'm like, what am I going to do all day? So I would head up to Dayland, just down the street from where we're sitting right now, and I'd write a song, and I'd go back and pick him up and go home, and pretty soon you have 100 songs a year. And pretty soon in that catalog of songs are songs like Say Amen. Right. I just think it's one of the greatest songs I've ever been a part of. And that came from the season of prioritizing my family.
Sure.
And that's, to me, is the kindness of God. Yeah. I felt like Solomon, and it's like, choose well. What do you choose? I chose my family, and God, it was as if he said, I'm going to give you that and your career. And here I sit. It's crazy.
And that choice will always be the right one.
Yeah. Yeah.
In this town, they don't. That's your battle. That's your choice. You keep writing great songs. They don't care if you're there an hour or. And I remember sitting one morning. We didn't do it very often, but one morning, you and Lee and I just sat in that room right off the parking lot. And do you remember what we wrote?
Yes, I should have taken pictures.
Should have taken pictures.
Listen, I don't remember everything, but that was a profound song. It's profound. You walked in with that idea.
The opening verse says, "It was your very first pony ride. I stood there and I cried, and I waved every time that carousel went by."
He walked in with that. We didn't write that. That's Dave Clark.
It's
just
wow.
But it was about. Yeah. I should have taken pictures of the times I got it right.
Yeah.
And I thought back on that.
Wow.
Lee, his parents were quite a bit older. You dealt with the physical stuff with your son, and we prayed for 12 years for a kid, and knowing the two home lives that you and Carrie grew up in with one parent that was always gone.
Yeah.
And I thought back on that song, and I don't think we've ever even pitched it, but I should have taken pictures. Those times that
Did
we got
anybody ever
right.
record it?
I don't know.
No.
I love that thought and that lyric.
It's even the melody. I should have taken pictures. Yeah. Oh, it just
but
makes
I remember,
you want to cry.
I was standing back in Rivergate Mall, back when there was a mall there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a food court, and they had a carousel.
Yeah,
and on Daddy Day, I would take my daughter Allison down there, and I would stand there. And I was doing that, and I realized every other parent was standing there doing the same thing. But it was, you got it. Lee got it. Those writers that through the years, you got the concepts. And it wasn't about, did the song get cut? It was about, do I feel it? And can I still feel it when the song's done? That's what I knew in your writing.
And I think that, to me, and I'm fortunate that we've written some songs that have done some things. But I've never really prayed for. I mean, there are times that I will pray the Lord bless a song that's out there, but I've never really prayed to go and write big songs and hit songs and chart songs and single songs. Yeah, I've never. My prayer has always been to be fruitful. So when you say that about feeling it and the satisfaction is in that feel, I've always just prayed to bear fruit in it, and whatever that looks like. And maybe it's just writing that great song and that fellowship around that day, because sometimes co-writing is free counseling for me.
Yes.
And then sometimes it's about this song that we write today, because we're going to get together, new friends, and write that song, and that song's going to do something for people. And so I've just let the Lord, in his economy and his governance of my song and my story and my career, I just let him figure out what it means. And so that's a beautiful song. I mean, I can sing it right now. It's so beautiful.
That's crazy. That's been how many years ago?
Oh, like 20, maybe something like that. It's so good.
I'm going to hear it and I'm going to pitch
Let's
it.
pitch it to Dusty, who can
That's-
pitch it to his artist.
I love that. It paints. I love songs that paint a picture, and that does
yes,
right
that
there.
somebody said that I think Dr. Maxwell, I heard Sue Duffield. Sue talked about a book that Maxwell wrote that says there are a lot of communicators, but not many people connect.
That's so true. Man, that's really
And the
true.
difference and especially now with AI coming in the picture,
yeah,
where writers are going, well, I'll
yeah,
just use AI.
yeah.
I don't want anywhere near it as a writer. I want to be able to. Years and years ago, we lived in a little house in Madison, and we'd written a song called "I Can Begin Again" with Laura.
I know that. Yes.
It's great.
And
Yes.
Cindy came home. She'd been teaching, and we had a little room because we didn't have any kids yet. And I said, "Play her what we wrote." And he said, "No, I want to sing it for her because I want to watch her listen.
So she can feel it.
I want to see can she feel it."
Yeah.
And that's still that point of connection. And I don't want to play a song, even I won't name names, but I don't want to play a song for someone who's going to talk through it when they're listening.
Yeah.
I want you to listen.
Put the phone
Totally
down.
agree.
Put the phone
Totally
down.
agree.
Yeah.
Let's go where. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want to know.
Yeah.
Does that?
Yes. Oh, Dave.
It's funny you do that because I can be in a co-writing with. Ask Sue this when you see her next. We will be writing and we'll say a line and I'll cry or something, or for some reason I need to point to my 60-year-old crepey arm and go, "Oh my gosh!" I do it every time. Oh my gosh!
I do the same way.
But if I feel it, my thing is, if we're sitting in a room and if I feel it, maybe if I pitch it to her, because I pitch the bulk of what I get cut just by relationships, and I'm just passionate about the song, so I'll pitch them.
You're one of the best.
So you're very kind. I'm busy doing it. But if I feel it, then if the artist hears it, maybe they feel it. And if the artist feels it, they'll go, "Oh, then maybe the person we're singing it for will feel it."
Right.
And
Because that's the whole thing.
invariably, when you feel it and you see it connect with the artist, then when you hear them do it live, you watch it connect with the crowd, and you go, "Those instincts, that thing that you do, that's all you got at the end of the day."
Yeah.
And one of my most interesting co-writes. Well, two of them were both with you involved for different reasons.
Oh, no.
One was the first time I wrote with Kenna and Wayne Hahn, because Kenna talks a lot.
I do. I'm a verbal processor.
You
I
are.
am.
Wayne
I'll
doesn't
own
talk
it.
at all.
No,
in a
not at
write.
all. No, that's true.
And I'm sitting there just watching the two. That was fun.
Yeah.
And then Wayne would just go at some point. Go after he finishes his emails. He'll go up and say, "How about this?" And you just go, "Yes."
Yeah.
The other interesting one was one time. It actually happened two times, but I think one time you and Don Cook and I got.
I was hoping you'd tell this.
That was a special day.
I was hoping you'd tell this story.
Don was already in the throes of cancer at that point. And watching two Type A writers, and there was an idea that at that day I think I had saved it for 20 years. Yeah. And I said, "Today's the day." Yeah. And by
He
the
had a
time we
dream.
got
He
done,
dreamed.
we were all crying.
I love that.
But those things that a writer understands what to do with what you feel.
And this is what I loved about Don, because I mean, everybody has an opinion and they're worth whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But Don, as prolific as he was as a musician, I could say to him, "I think that's probably maybe a flat 7. Can we try that?" Or I think you hold that measure out for the singer to like really sing the note. And he'd go, "Okay, let's try." And he'd go, "Okay, you win." Or just kind of fun, or just a generous guy. And so he's brilliant, but he would also allow input. And it's very validating for somebody that you look up to. And it's the same with lyrics with you and music with him, to be able to walk in with people that have written some big songs that you really admire, to allow you to have a voice in it. It's beautiful.
I was just sitting here thinking, and Cindy, who is our wonderful Dave's wife, who films this, 3 weeks ago we went to Jackson, Tennessee. Not Cindy and I together, but I didn't know Cindy and Allison were going to be there. But we saw Brian Free, Karen Peck, and Jim and Melissa Brady all in one afternoon. I was just thinking about this just now, and I remember because you talked about goosebumps.
Yeah.
Brian and them ended with "Say Amen." I don't know if you remember this, and I remember the audience just standing up and just cheering and just the worship. Karen did "Faithful."
That's what faith looks
That's what faith looks like, and told the story. People were standing up and worshiping. Am I right, Cindy? I mean, and then Jim and Melissa did "Ever Faithful,"
ever present.
ever present, ever faithful. And I thought, here's these two writers. 3 songs that day touched that entire audience in such different ways, and man, that's what the music's
But it
about.
takes what all three of
all
us at this
3 of
table
you
do.
to
You and you and
but I am. That's why and people all the time say, "You know great songs." I say, "Yeah, but I know what it's like to be a 14-year-old kid and listen
That's
to
it.
"Sheltered in the Arms of God"
That's
when
it.
drug parties were going on, when things were and
Yeah.
hiding in my bedroom, listening to those songs
And the
about
importance
art.
of it.
and the
Because of
importance
that.
it.
Yeah.
So
And
one of
why
the
it's
things
so valuable.
we've talked about Sue tonight, one of the things that I love about, I say that window of writers, the writers that we all
Yep.
kind of were finding our place
Yep.
during a great season for songwriters, and it was Joel Lindsay, it was Tony Wood, it was Kenna, it was Sue,
Yep.
it was just a neat season. A lot of those writers have found ways to give that back. And one of those is Sue. She does this conference,
Yep.
and one of my favorite nights every year
Yeah.
is also the one night when I'm scared, and that's
Because you're going to sing something.
Yes.
we have to
Yes.
sing something that we've
All
written.
the clinicians do a song.
Oh, I know.
So
I love
you-
it,
you
and it's
watch
my
all these-
favorite.
I love
It's my favorite night.
I love it.
It's my favorite to hear them.
But I love it when y'all get up there and do.
So it's been several years ago. I sent you. You got up and sang, and I was sitting in the back because that's
This is a
where I
favorite
always
moment.
sit.
This is a favorite moment. I know what you're going to tell. Go ahead.
And you sang for the first time I had ever heard it, a song that you wrote with Jeff Baumgartner and
and
Jason
Jason.
Cox, called
Even me.
"Even Me."
I'll never forget it.
And it just kept, you know the song, everybody knows the song, but it was so coming alive in the room with I sort of say just you singing, that doesn't sound right, but just a scaled down version of it.
Yeah.
And there was something so good in the craft of it that you probably hadn't sat down yet when I sent you a text. And what the text say?
You said really nice things about the song. And I don't remember what you said, and you even came to me after. But because you are so valued to me, I remembered that night. So when you said "Write About Jesus" a few years ago, I knew exactly what you're going to say.
So what I sent you in that text was, will you send me that lyric? I just want to look at it.
Can I tell a little story about the song?
Yes, absolutely.
Don't let me keep you too long,
No,
but
we're
I got
good.
nowhere to be. I got nowhere to be.
We do. So, but
Cindy does.
I love
Cindy
it. That's
does. We might lose our camera crew, but we got stories. So Jason Cox is a Daywind writer, and Jason and I, next Thursday will be 16 years that we've been writing, and we write every Thursday, unless Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We write every single Thursday. So most of the songs that people know that have my name on it has my little brother's name, Jason Cox. And Jason came in. We were in room 3 at Word where I write, and I got this idea called "Even Me." I'm like, I get that. It's the John 3:16. I get it. And he starts chunking on the guitar, dunk, 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 dunk. And when he did, I could hear that chorus, and I could hear it starting and walking down to the 4 chord. I could hear it. And I'm not a quiet writer. I may write 2 lines and then say them so we can process and write it together. You're a quieter
wait,
writer.
did you just say you're a quiet writer?
No, I said I might be quiet for a minute and write maybe 2 lines.
Okay,
Because
I appreciate the clarification.
But most people are right. Well, you're a quiet writer because you'll write a
He
good
is,
chunk
he is.
and you want to think. But you also can do what Sue does. Y'all can just mute out the noise in the room and focus.
They do.
I don't do that so well. But Jason and I, we kind of talk everything out. Like even today, we were writing before I came here. And so we just kind of process together. Like he'll kind of mumble things, and sometimes I'll pick words out of what he says, and I'll put them on the paper, and I'll move them around, and then I suggest what we can do, and we write it. But that day, I could see God so loved the world, He gave gave his only son away to save a wretch like me, the one who needed grace to care. I could see it, and I'm typing furiously on my little iPad, and I get to grace to cover every stain. Now I've been quiet for like 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, and the guys are like, "What are you writing?" I go, "Just give me a second," because I thought if you give me a second, I'll just say it, and I'll present it. And they're like, "No, what are you writing? Like, tell us too. We want to write it with you," kind of, like you do.
Yeah.
And I go, "Okay, Jason, play it and walk down, and I'll show you." And so I sang it. God so loved the world he gave his only son away to save a wretch like me, the one who needed grace to cover every stain. That's as far as I got, because the boys interrupted. And then Jeff is quiet. Jeff is over in that chair, and Jason is right here. Jeff is quiet, maybe 60 seconds, maybe longer, I don't know. He types a little bit, and he says, "Sing it again, Kenna." And then Jason walked from the 2 up. If you don't know numbers, it's all good. If you write music in Nashville, it's a number system. So here's what happens. I go, God so loved the world he gave his only son away to save a wretch like me, the one who needed grace to cover every stain. And Jeff goes, stains that he no longer sees. It's amazing to believe that God so loved the world means even me.
That's great.
And it was, there they go. There's the chills. There they are. I need crepe erase. Like in a car wash form. But it was Jason's idea, and I could kind of hear the thing. And then Jeff brought the part that wrecks me and makes me cry. That's co-writing. That's co-writing.
That's co-writing.
It's a favorite song
But
ever.
that's also
a great song.
Instincts that you knew it when he played this.
Yeah,
he
I
knew
could
it when
feel
you
it.
said this. And what I wanted to look at,
Mm.
I had never heard a lyric. I'm sitting in the back wherever the line ended with the first.
I don't even know where that came from. Apart from the Lord, we know me. It had to be the Lord.
We could peel this back for another few hours just about the stories behind your songs. But you are not only known as one of the most prolific writers, but you alluded to something earlier, and I'd love to hear your take on this. Almost to a fault, the publishers look at you as the most prolific song plugger. Now,
Prolific. I like the word.
At some
that is
point,
really true, Dave.
you had to develop a little thicker skin, and
I would say this. I bet I pitched 100 songs this week. I bet.
Wow.
And you get like a handful of holds, which is song layaway for people who don't know. But here's what I have learned.
means nothing.
Yeah. It means we're thinking about your
I
song.
love that term, song layaway.
A song layaway.
I do love that.
You know what I mean? It's like, set it aside.
That's
Don't
true.
let anybody hear it while we think about it, and we'll get back with
It's
you.
layaway.
And so it's layaway. It's like Kmart when I was a kid at Christmas.
Oh, I know.
And so, for me, it was, this is how good the Lord is. So, I just keep hitting that microphone. So the first song was that Karen Peck song, was the title cut. My next song was a Jeff and Sheri single, and it was a song called We're Not Gonna Bow, and it was like #1, and it was Up for a Dove, and I lost that year to Randy Travis, and I'm like, I just lost to Randy Travis. That song Baptism is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
How blessed am I?
Yeah.
And I got a new outfit. It was great. It was wonderful.
were the days.
Yes.
Those were the days.
And so I'm nominated this year. I'll get a new outfit, and it'll be fun. But that's to say, you get no more than you get yes. But God in his kindness let me have that Karen Peck song early to say to me, you didn't even do that.
Yeah.
You didn't do that.
Yeah.
Debbie told you should sing, and Doris gave the thing, and Phil pitched it to Karen, and Karen cut it, and you stewarded 3 hours.
Yeah.
You didn't do that. So to this day, I can sit on my couch. I hope I remember what I was going to say. I can sit on my couch and look around. There's a bunch of things on the walls that say these songs have done nice things, and God is very kind, and I see it. But I didn't do that.
Yeah.
The Lord gives us an idea. We steward the 3 hours, and maybe I pitch it, because I pitch a lot. I pitch a ton of songs, and I'll usually go chase the demo down even, because I have a vision for what we felt like the song was going to be.
It's a control issue with you.
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
Sink or swim.
Sink or swim. I'd like it to be on what we wrote that day.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of managing of the demo. And then I think what helps me pitch is I pitch like a record. Yeah. Like if I know that Karen Peck does not need another 4 days late.
Right.
I know that. I'm not going to pitch her a 6/8 about Lazarus.
Yeah.
But what Karen wants is not even to do the last record. She wants to do the next thing. But you have to know what people have done to know
Right.
what the next thing is. And I tend to pitch inside and outside the box. For example, I wrote a song called They Don't Know with Tony Wood and maybe Marcia Henry. But it's a Motown song, and I pitched it to the Kingsmen. And they cut it, and it was a top 5 song. And Tony's like, well, what made you think to pitch Motown to the Kingsmen? I said, because the Kingsmen have never cut Motown.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the lyric was straight up Kingsmen.
Yeah.
The horns were Motown.
Yeah.
And so it was a fun song. And so it's kind of knowing what an artist does. And so you can respect the lane. You respect their body of work, what their lane sounds like, and stay true to that. And maybe sometimes.
You still have to have a thick skin.
Yeah.
Yes, because you'll get no more
yeah,
than yes.
yeah,
Or even worse, you'll get quiet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quiet.
Because that's the
Yeah.
Nashville
Yes.
no, we call it.
Yes.
It's the polite way of saying
But
no,
I
thank
think
you.
the two of you as writers, and I'm not patronizing both of you. I really am not.
It's okay if you do that.
But I'm not.
I don't mind.
But you guys do have, both of you have incredible relationships with these artists, and you do dig in, because I've heard you. What's in your heart? What are you feeling? What do you want a song to say? That's what I love about both of you. Is you do. I mean, when COVID was going around,
I bet I have pitched. You say you do 100 a week.
Just, last week, not always.
I bet in my career, I bet I have pitched less than 10 songs. Because I got no confidence. And Don always did it.
Oh,
And then when Don's gone, now I got to figure that out.
you got
And,
it.
but
Yeah.
what
So I
is so
appreciate the
crazy,
clinic that you just
but
gave
what
me.
is crazy is he has these great. We know that he's one of the best writers, and I'll ask him, "What? Let me tell you who's writing. I mean, who's recording? What do you have?"
Yeah.
Have I
Talk
ever
to-
pitched you anything?
No, but you'll tell me. I think I have something, and he does, and usually the person ends up recording it.
I think if you believe in your song, even if you get a no, if you believe in the song, listen. If I pitch a song to Brian Free and Brian passes, it doesn't mean it's not a good song.
Right.
It means it didn't fit that record.
Exactly. That's what I
the
always.
hurdle.
That
And
is,
so
yeah,
I have kind of learned, like, if I'm crying and I got chills, I believe in the song. Maybe it didn't fit that artist for that record.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what if God gave us a great song that day, and I just keep pitching until I get the yes?
Did the two of you guys write with Karen? The Answer Is Jesus.
I co-wrote that with Lee and
with
Karen.
Lee and Karen. I remember that song coming at COVID.
Yes.
But Karen asked you specifically, "This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm dealing with." And
She said it with a little more of an accent.
She
Little
sure
high.
did, and probably said, "Friend." Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was.
But
it was
that's what I love
Karen's
about
idea.
both of you. You guys both dig in. I've seen you do it with Karen. I've seen you do it with different people.
I was listening and trying to find what they're
What their-
middle of
yeah.
their saying.
Their
You-
artist,
and that's what. If you're not an artist, you have to acquire that skill at some
I'll
point.
tell you, one of my favorite songs. I have 3 on Karen's new record, and I wrote them all with her. So I wrote for her, and now I write with her, and that's a joy because she's my girl. But I sat it in QC last year, and she lost her mom. There was the Nelon accident, and it was all at one time.
Yeah.
And she was testifying on the stage at NQC that when the plane crash happened with the Nelons, she said, "I wanted to grab the phone and call my mama."
Yeah.
And that's the first thing I wanted to do. And she said, and then I thought, you know what? Mama knows.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
sat on
Yeah,
the back
yeah,
row next to my friend Charlie and his mother. And I took my phone and I wrote in my phone, "Mama knows."
You don't have to be real smart to know that that's.
That's
That was a neon sign.
Even Tony Wood, I think, would have heard that one.
Yeah.
I
Well, it
think.
was so cool. Charlie is
That's
not a
so
songwriter.
funny.
Charlie goes, "You just wrote a song idea down, didn't you?" I said, "Yes." And
That's
so I waited.
funny.
And then just after Christmas this year, we got together and wrote. And I had lost my mother, Karen had lost hers, and my friend Don had lost his mom, Miss Dancy. So we're all writing about what our moms
That's
know in
right.
heaven. And it was beautiful. It's
so
beautiful.
There's one other thing I want to touch
That's
on,
good.
Dusty, and then
No,
we
yep,
need to
we
bring
got-
this
yep,
into the
yep.
station a little bit. But gosh, this has been fascinating. I love talking
the
to
joy.
songs.
I love the
What a joy.
songwriters.
We talked about as an artist, and Dusty talked about the first time he heard you sing. You're involved with something right now that's these 3 little no names that. And I've been when the first record came out, and it's you and Lauren Talley and Amber, and I'm trying to think what that committee meeting must have been like to come up with a name that clever.
Yeah, well, we tried to think of something like cool to call it. And I think it was Lauren that said, "But you know what people are going to call us? They're going to call us Lauren and Amber and Kenna."
That's it.
So
That's
it just made sense.
Yeah.
It made sense, and that's what we did.
So to pick which order you put the names in, was it by height?
Yes,
So you started with Lauren and
yes. It's not even an age, but
height. How
But
you
what's
stand in the
funny is,
picture.
at the time we did that record, one of us was in our 30s, one was in our 40s, and one was in our 50s, and I'm the old chick. And what a joy! What a joy!
I love it. That's so funny.
It's pretty great.
One day over at Day One, I went in the room and Sue, and I think you were there, and Lauren were in a room writing together. Would that have happened?
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah, we have.
And Rick Shelton and I walked in the room to say hello, and we looked at the three of them and said, I made the joke,
Of
how
course.
nice we've got one from each generation here.
Not okay.
And without batting an eye, Rick goes, and if you were writing with them, they'd had 4.
Oh,
Okay, that's
great.
funny. That's the
Line.
truth.
That's
kudos to Rick.
great.
That's great.
He's pretty
But
wonderful.
that's doing great. The wins just keep adding up for you, and we couldn't be more proud of you.
Yes.
Thankful for the
So
friendship, and so thankful that you came by and spent an
Yeah.
evening with Dusty and I tonight. And
Thanks
that's
for
why
having me.
We love to tell the stories and hear the heart and get the stories out there. And there's
Thank you.
nothing like songwriting stories.
thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You're awesome.